So today I would like to talk about suffering. I had a comment on my last video where someone said that I don't care about the suffering that's happening in the world. Why do you think I'm making these videos? I'm not denying the suffering. Just because I'm spreading a message of joy and happiness doesn't mean that I'm denying suffering. Because I know what suffering is. Like, I was a chain smoker, I was a weed addict, I had depression. Like, I know what it feels like to not want to wake up in the morning, and much more things that I don't want to talk about. Yet I am here spreading a message of love, spreading a message that should tell you that there is a way out. This character has a story of pain, tremendous pain and suffering. Now I'm here saying that the past of this character is absolutely insignificant. It's not important at all. And I love the fact that it's not important, because I've discovered what I am. That's much more than the person, the character, the past. So I'm here talking about suffering, not about suffering, what it is, you know what it is, but how I got rid of my suffering. So, suffering is always connected to you. It's always about me. So people who suffer have an ego, obviously. It's not a bad thing. But in order to suffer, you have to have an ego. Don't feel attacked. Okay, it's okay to suffer. And it's okay to have an ego. But obviously, you don't want to suffer. So you say, I suffer. But you cannot, as this I, you cannot get rid of suffering. You have to get rid of I, and automatically the suffering will crumble with the I, because it's one thing. It's one and the same thing. When I say suffering, I'm talking about you or I or the ego, the person. The person is the suffering, and I know that this is a fact. So the person is always looking outward. This is my life. I'm suffering, it's not enough, so I need to get more money, better relationships, more success, better friends, more friends. There's always something to improve on. But the person is not improving because of joy. He's improving because he finally wants to arrive at home, not realizing what he actually is. So it's absolutely normal to become angry, sad, or depressed over time when you are so lost in form, in personhood. So there's an inner world. You can feel your pain, emotional pain, or anxiety, or fear, or anger, or whatever you are feeling. You feel it in your body. And there are thoughts talking about the suffering, how to improve, or I don't have the power anymore to improve. I don't know where I am, what I am. I'm completely lost. I'm trying to find an answer on YouTube, and that's how the ego plays sometimes. And that's actually good, because something, the life force, wants to bring you to the answer. And I was becoming aware of my suffering as an object. It became like an object to me. Like, thoughts were not thoughts that revolved around me. It's like the thoughts were always about the person, but all of a sudden I had this non-judgmental perspective on thoughts. So the thoughts were not a subject anymore. They are like an object, and they were not talking about the character, because I was not identified with a character anymore. There was no character, so there was just like random thoughts, and the feeling was still the same feeling, but it wasn't my feeling anymore. Like, I'm totally aware of this hand, and I know I'm not this hand. The same witness that is witnessing this hand was witnessing the emotion as if it's just an object and it's not personal anymore. So I was, from this perspective of the ultimate subject, which is unmanifested awareness, I was witnessing those suffering emotions and happenings, energetic happenings in this body, as if they were not personal, because I was not identified with the person anymore. It's just pure awareness. So through this non-judgmental seeing, the suffering was finally allowed to simply be. I was not trying to fix it anymore. I was just allowing it to be. So in a few minutes or 10-20 minutes, the suffering subsided. And I suffered for months, years. Just when I became aware of my true being and observed it from a non-judgmental view, it subsided in 20 minutes. That's how simple it is. You just have to know what you are. You are consciousness. And when you are looking through the eyes of consciousness, there's like a light that shines on the shadow. And the shadow is the person. So when you're finally observing your own reactions, your own feelings, your own thoughts from the perspective of no one, you become like self-aware, and the shadow aspects are just vanishing, and the light of awareness is filling up your whole body. And when that happens, there's no one that cares about the past anymore. The character is completely insignificant. I'm not here to tell you something about my past. It's absolutely boring to talk about my past, your past. Who cares? I am one with God. And that's a fact. That's a fact. If you know what God is, don't confuse the God I'm talking about with a book, like a God from a book. I'm talking about the witness, the eternal witness that is always here and there and there and everywhere. Identify as that, because that's what you are. That's a process. It's a sudden awakening. You are, in one split second, you are waking up to your true self. Like, I'm the awareness. So this suffering is nothing I have to worry about. It's when I look at the suffering from this perspective of the witness, and the witness doesn't suffer, by the way. The witness is aware of the suffering. So that's like an immediate relief. But when you stay as that, there seems to be like a process going on the personal level. Like suffering becomes less and less and less and less and less. And there's like a point of neutrality, and then you keep witnessing that neutrality from the perspective of the witness. What happens is, from this neutrality, there's like happiness, joy, love, bliss. It can only become better and better. It's like a rope, the rope of God. When you say yes to witness, He pulls you up into the heavens, to the high vibrations. And there are times where the character gets pulled down, but the trick is to not judge yourself. And also do not judge others that seem to have a bad day, because if you are non-judgmental of someone else that has a bad day, but you simply accept them as the pure awareness, like you are the pure awareness that accepts them, even if they have a bad day, somehow what can happen is that your presence makes their presence stronger, because your deep self is the same deep self that they are. That's how there's like a connection. So when you are awakened, people around you have to, if they want it or not, they are more awake just because of you. So that's what can happen. So that's how your true self, you are already, when the true self doesn't identify itself with its own creation anymore, what happens is that you are in a state of bliss, like more and more and more. But do not cling to these states of happiness, because they are also just something that happens in awareness. Like, do not cling to anything. Only thing that you should cling to is what you are, and that's why you don't have to cling to it, because you are it. That's why it's easy, actually. So I remember when I had there was like I had hard times, as the character. There was like, I remember in an evening, I was so done with everything. Like, I was just so done with everything. Everything was just shit. And I was like laying down on my couch and I gave up. And in that giving up, when I gave up as a person, I gave up and I fell back on my true self, and just in a few seconds, like, felt like all that, that weight that was on my chest and on my shoulders just vanished. I was like, what was that? And yeah, that's why I'm making these videos. Not to deny suffering, to actually help. Like, I'm not a teacher, I'm just someone that had an experience, and I want to make videos about this experience. First, I didn't make videos for people. I just like to record myself and talk about things. But now we are a little community, and I appreciate that. So just know that there is a way out, and you don't have to seek the way. If you are suffering right now, don't be upset. Just become aware. Who is the one witnessing the pain, the suffering? And now or never, you are not identified with it anymore. And the suffering will vanish. It's the power of consciousness. I think that's it for today. If you have a question, leave a comment, like this video, and subscribe. Have a great day.